What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I'm going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in stock price, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right to it. So starting off with this upcoming week, there is 2 days that you need to really pay attention to, and that is Thursday with GDP, and then as well Friday with PCE. Especially based on what the Fed's previously stated, they're going to be looking at the data, and so those 2 data points will definitely translate to interest rate cuts, or at least optimism for that. Citi and JP Morgan both said this last week that it most likely will be in September. Currently, there is a 44.9% likelihood of a rate cut during that meeting of September, on September 18th, 2024. So in my opinion, that would be a very good thing because the whole EV sector and Lucid is very, very sensitive to interest rates. So if there's more of a optimism associated to cuts in the foreseeable future, you should see the stock go up quite dramatically. Aside from that, you do see a lot of Fed speakers throughout the week. The only one to really pay attention to is on Tuesday, and that is Cook, because they're the only one talking on, the economy and how it's integrated in AI and everything like that. So that one might be the only one to pay attention to. I'm sure a lot of people already are aware. Monday there is a holiday, so for all the Americans out there, happy Memorial Day and all the other fun jazz. So have a long weekend, couple beers, relax, and do what you need to do. But pretty much for the most part, aside from those 2 data points on Thursday and Friday, it is going to be more of a technical driven week. And in Lucid's case, that's somewhat good. So I'm going to talk about technicals near the tail end of the video, but at the same time, fear and greed index is at 53, so it is under the neutral category. It has gone down a little bit from last week, so it was at 64. I think it peaked at like 68, something like that. But dependent on data points and maybe geopolitical issues with China, if that does get somewhat resolved, then you could see this easily go back to the greed category. So let me know your thoughts on that. When it comes to Lucid specific, there isn't any planned PR that I'm aware of. Looking under their event page, it looks like they're just showcasing the Gravity. So up until the 28th, it is going to be at the Westfield University Town Center. And between May the 30th and June the 9th, it is going to be at the Oak Brook Center Studio. So pretty good stuff. That's clearly the next big catalyst for Lucid, so rightfully so that they kind of showcase it. That's my opinion, of course. And when it comes to Lucid's technicals though, Friday there was quite the sell-off, and that was because of this. So them saying that they're going to lay off roughly around 6% of their staff, and that's between now and the end of Q3 2024. They're going to get hit with roughly 21 to 25 million in charges that's associated to severance, employee benefits, and things like that. I'm not really a big fan of this. Generally, a one-time event of a layoff that is seen as good, cutting fat, but this is now the 4th time. So the market saw this as a very big red flag, thus causing it to go down. In Lucid's case, they were very, very lucky because the broader market was rallying, so kind of rallying from Thursday's unjustified sell-off. But nonetheless, the market did take Lucid higher as a result. So I think that was one thing that really worked in Lucid's favor. Hopefully it does continue, but on the technical stance, it did bounce off of a very strong support. So I'll talk about that in a second. But shorts. So shorts did return about 2.6 million shares on Friday. 30.42% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 269.47 million shares. Cost to borrow average is 32%, a little bit lower than the previous trading day. So that was Thursday. In my opinion, it might be more of a bold statement, but I do feel that this week, net shorts are going to return shares, only because even the worst stocks over this last week, shorts have been returning some shares. And in Lucid's case, you can kind of see that they've been holding strong. Even looking at this number right here, so 10.21 days, typically that's how long shorts hold their position on average. So shorts usually invest or get in on Lucid and hold it for a extended period of time. So I think shorts are kind of overdue to return some shares with Lucid, especially with the cost of borrow being at 32%. So something to kind of consider, and hopefully dependent on the data points coming out, GDP and PCE, then that might really incentivize shorts to return some shares. But still, we'll just have to wait and see. institutions haven't really been looking at Lucid as much as they once were. So roughly about 2 weeks ago, like Lucid was the hot thing. A lot of institutions were paying attention to it. This last week, still a good amount, but not all that much. And more specifically on Friday, you did have 5 transactions above $100,000 on the secondary market. All were sells, and you can tell that based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. So when it comes to why Lucid did go up, it was being told by algorithmic trading. Majority of the volume being done on Friday was linked to algorithmic trading. So clearly the optimism in the market, it was just being told, hey, buy any and all stocks. Well, not all stocks, but you guys get what I'm saying. So hopefully with Lucid, they put out some substantial pieces of news in the foreseeable future and do kind of bring institutions back into buying Lucid, not necessarily just swing trading it or whatever else. And so when it comes to as well options, so in the past, Lucid has always struggled with these man-made resistance points brought on by options. And this is the current layout for the open interest. So for this upcoming week, so expiring May 31st, 2024, you do see 6,000 currently at that $3 strike price, 3,000 at the 350, and then 3,000 at the $4 strike price. No strong walls. So in theory, market makers and or shorts probably are one among the same, but they aren't going to try to suppress Lucid this upcoming week as of right now. So Lucid, dependent on everything, it could actually run up once again and hopefully get above that $3 mark. We'll just have to wait and see. Whereas in the past, like if the wall is at like 25,000 for instance, then shorts will ensure that Lucid does not close anywhere close to $3. That's usually been the case. So again, this upcoming week, looking at this data is somewhat optimistic. But like I mentioned, when it comes down to the technicals, with it closing at $2.78, it is trading between this pivot and this R1. On Friday, it kind of bounced off of both extremes. So 258 is a very strong support. 261 was the low, so that general area. And then vice versa, $2.82 is that next strong target / resistance, and then 279 was the high. So in my opinion, even though that news that did come out right here was generally negative, at least to me, like it did cause it to bounce off of the lower aspect right here. So in theory, it is trending higher. So with this upcoming week, the data points more so near the end of the week and beginning part more of a technical driven week, this is where Lucid could really have a nice push higher, especially if they come out strong, hitting a lot of buying happening. And then if it does and is able to get above this R1, then this is where $3 is very realistic to occur during this week. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I'll quickly pop over to Interactive Brokers, give you a breakdown of what the Elliott Wave technicals are pointing to. So right now it has a pivot point of $2.35. So for as long as Lucid is above that, then it is anticipated to get between that 340 and 360 range. So the technicals obviously are looking fairly optimistic, dependent on this pivot point to hold. If not, then this is where it is anticipated to hit the low 2s or the high 1s. But I do feel, given everything, even though that news did come out and I'm not a fan of it, like I think this week might be generally optimistic for Lucid. On the actual chart itself, it was able to fight and stay above that 50-day moving average. So it's kind of just wedge bound between that central Bollinger Band and that 50-day moving average right now. Stochastic, you do see it at 30 roughly. So that is considered oversold. You do see a bearish deviation though. So red line above the white. But once again, as I said, if there's good data across the board or specific to Lucid, you could see a rush of value investors getting into Lucid. And despite all of that though, you do see a number of retail investors selling out over this last little bit. Or it could just be the day traders kind of limiting their exposure to Lucid. I'm not really sure. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid in the comments below. Give yourself a shout out if you plan on buying, if you're going to be dollar cost averaging, and potentially at what price. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 ad, and they give you 7 fractional shares of the 𝗪𝗧𝗛. So pretty kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.